talk about. There's nowhere I'd rather be, 'cause there's something about you and me just sitting around talking sheets.
There is Dan Davidson. Thank you, Dan. And another exciting edition of Talking Sheets. From one great country artist to another. We've, full disclosure, have just finished having about a 15-minute discussion about things that won't be on the podcast. But I said maybe we should start doing the podcast now. When I left radio, guys like Tim Hicks thought, okay, good, it's over, it's done.
No,
Stop bugging me.
kind of like a bad wart on the bottom of your foot. Every time you think it's gone, it shows up again, Tim Hicks.
Oh, come on. You were one of the good guys.
Boy, that must have been the
Was
rest must
he
have been
was
awfully
one of the
bad.
good guys?
Yeah, but I do like I like was for sure. It's just exciting to have you. We're going to be having you come to Edmonton to be a part of an event coming up. And that's not why we're talking to you. The reason why we're talking to you is we're recording this on Friday when the Blue Jays game had started. So I thought, is there any way I can make sure Tim doesn't see the Blue Jays game? Let's see if I can find a way.
You know
to
what?
schedule
And
this.
again, it's like we have so much baseball to play. It's okay. It's okay.
You're all right?
I'm all right. Yeah. In fact, it like I was watching Blue Jays Central, just while we were cooking dinner, and it almost felt like the season never ended.
Yeah.
Because it was
just-
so
yeah.
long.
Yeah, it just I don't know. It was magic watching that whole thing last season, and just watching the replays and them sort of talking about the lineup and who's new and who's gone, and it just sort of felt like it blended. You know, the 25 season is blending into the 26 season. So, 181 games or something like this after today. So I think we're all right.
Okay. I am the biggest Oilers fan in the world. Bailey, and you probably don't know this, but she works for the Edmonton Oilers as a social media manager. But I took that Blue Jays loss as bad, if not worse, than the Oilers losing in the Stanley Cup Finals because they should have won and they were so close, and it was just like they should have won. For a week, I laid in bed and thought they should have won. This is ridiculous.
We had all our friends over, and we hang. There's a group of us, like probably. Well, there's a huge group of us, but in that day there was maybe 4 couples and their kids over here, maybe 5. House full. And we made the kids go downstairs and watch it so the adults could watch it upstairs. But somehow everyone wound up in the same room for that final play. And it was, you could have heard a pin drop. And it was one of those things like, is that it? Is it, oh my God, it's over. As soon as that revelation hit everyone, all of a sudden the kids were crying, grown men were throwing things. It was the worst feeling in the world. You know, you just felt so horrible for them. You know, and I think that because you take on the identity of the team, you know, when you're invested in it, and we were, as a country, we were invested in it.
That was the thing too, right?
Yeah.
It was such a huge thing for the country. And
Yeah.
And you're right. All those players just legitimately seemed like good guys.
They really did.
And they were such a great story. And who you trying to kid, Tim? I honestly believe it was grown men crying and little kids throwing things. That's what happened.
Yeah.
really.
I mean, I wish I was lying, but yeah. It was, you know, and then we had a party after, so it didn't really matter anyway. But yeah, I mean, it was painful in that moment, and I'll never forget it, because like my kids, my buddies' kids are very athletic and very competitive and very invested in their teams, whether it's hockey or football or baseball. And yeah, they were in tears, literally, like mums were consoling their kids. Because the Blue
Bailey
Jays
will
lost.
tell you, back in 2003 when the Oilers lost in the Stanley Cup Finals, I was on the road with the team, humble brag. Bailey, you remember being a young girl and being in a room of people that watched Game 7, and you guys were all crying.
2006. You said 2003, but
Oh, yeah, 2006, sorry.
That I always say that was my first true heartbreak in life, was the Oilers losing to the Carolina Hurricanes in 2006. And I remember I had painted my face, and I was looking in a bathroom mirror, and we were watching it with some family, and the face paint was just going down my face, and I was just sobbing. And I think that prepares you for the world, you know? That was like a true, they say, when was your heart first broken? That was it for me. And for these kids, it was probably the Jays, and now that still broke my heart too. So I don't know if it gets any better.
Yeah, that was the universe telling you, look at here, kid, it's a cruel world out there.
Yeah, it was a real, toughens you up, I guess.
Yeah, for Oiler fans, we went through it twice with the Oilers in the Stanley Cup final. We went through it with the Jays, and then we went through it with Canada, losing both the men and women's hockey games in the Olympics. And at a certain point, you look at yourself and go, why do I do this to myself?
Yeah.
You know, there is a portion of society that does not pay attention to sports, and they don't get the highs, but they don't get the lows.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, but it's hard. It's hard not to. Those are my favorite moments too. It's like the moments of national pride. You know, and I get asked all the time, you know, what's your hockey team? And some of the times I lie, but most of the time, like I love the local hockey team here. They use my song as the goal song, so that's kind of fun. But it's the national, those games, like the Team Canada games, the Olympics, the World Juniors, like those kinds of things that I get really invested in and really angry about when things don't go our way, you know?
Yeah, I do know.
Yeah, you get it.
I get it. Tim, when we started, I said, you know, we'll just talk about some things, and here you go. We haven't really established even, you know, for those that the very small amount that don't even know what you do for a living. I think I did say country singer.
Oh yeah, we didn't. You didn't even intro him. I always write an intro, and you always ignore it.
Okay, well, I'm just going to say he's just been a good friend for so many years. He's, you know, and again, I didn't write this, and I didn't look on Wikipedia, but I can tell you that he has just been an incredibly accomplished country music artist.
Thank you.
And he's from Niagara Falls. Is that right, Tim?
I am from Niagara Falls. I live in St. Catharines now, which is the big city down the road, about 10 minutes. Yeah, the big city. Niagara Falls, again, only been once in my life, and it really is unbelievable. When you see it, you just go to yourself, why doesn't it run out of water? Yeah.
How did this possibly happen? You talk about miracles of all miracles. I mean, the creation of a child has got to be number one, but number two for me is how much water flows over those falls every second, and it just keeps happening.
I used to know that number. I can't remember it off the top of my head, but I worked at the Maid of the Mist, which is the boat, the boat that takes you, you know, close to it. And my job was to hand out raincoats for 2 summers. And we used to have to know all that. Because, of course, you know, especially when it was high tourist season, there'd be a huge lineup. Like, the place was open from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., and you'd work from 8 till 2. And there were days where the line never stopped. It was just a lineup of people from the elevator that brings you down there, snaked all the way through that property, through the tent where we handed out the raincoats, down to another snake that went into the boats. And they'd run, I think they had like 6 boats running, and each of them, in those days, I think we had 4 that held like 700 people and 2 that were a little smaller than that. And they'd be full all day long. And you'd have to know that they would give you like a fact sheet, like, because it would give you stuff to talk about with the tourists as they're standing there, you know?
Right.
So I used to know all that to say, but I don't know it anymore. It's gone from my brain.
That's crazy, though.
Yeah.
That it is something to see. I tell this story often, and I think I might have even told it on the podcast. But when I think of Niagara Falls, I think of my late father-in-law, Bailey's grandpa, Eddie. And Eddie, unfortunately, passed away of Alzheimer's. But when he was going through early to mid stages of it, he went on a family trip with some of our other family members to go watch hockey in Toronto. So naturally, they went on a bus trip to Niagara Falls.
Yeah.
And they get off the bus, and I wish I would have been there. I feel like I was, because I've told the story so many times. Someday I'll say I was there. But they get off the bus, and literally the mist of the falls is like on their faces. And my father-in-law, who again is getting to that point where he knows family, but he's not really sure where he is or what's going on. Yeah. He goes, "There it is." And they all look at him, and they're so excited because he's having this moment, seeing, you know, one of the greatest
wonders of the world.
Greatest, absolutely. and he actually is pointing to the Tim Hortons. That really did happen.
I bet. Nice. I know that.
Would love to use that. There's a commercial. That's a Tim Hortons commercial that you just described, basically.
Incredible. Oh my God, incredible.
It really is. But anyway, how many country singers can say they grew up there, right? So that's always been a really unique thing.
Yeah.
You've because you're from Eastern Canada, you weren't here as often as some of these other guys, the Brett Kissels, the Gord Banfords, you name them from the West here, especially the ones that are fairly local. But when you come, you know what? People absolutely love you here in the West, and you're going to be coming, and we're going to talk about that.
Yeah.
Western Canada it's not your stomping grounds, but when you come, you love being here, don't you?
Absolutely. I mean, I have a strong connection with gigs like the Stampede in Calgary, and I always say, because people are like, "Oh, have you ever played the Calgary Stampede?" I'm like, almost every other year, and I'm like, those are my people, drunk and disorderly. Doesn't matter where they are. Whether it's downtown Halifax or Vancouver or the Calgary Stampede, I'm like, anybody, when it's party time, those are my people. So it's I always look forward to coming out that way and seeing everybody, and we're going to do it again real soon.
So you don't notice a difference, because I was going to ask that, between the East and the West, the country music fans, wherever they are.
There are some nuanced differences. Like, for instance, I could tell you, in the East, I was about to say the Far East. In the Far East.
In the Far East.
In the Far East. In the Maritimes. They love to sit. And they want to be able to sit and enjoy the show. And which is totally fine. I mean, listen, you do your thing. My instinct as a performer is to try and get you out of your seat, and because it's a concert. And I've said that. My famous line with the band rolls their eyes, because they're like, how many times is this guy going to say this one? I often say, if I get a crowd that's kind of like, seated and watching, it's actually very nice, because it means they're paying attention. But I'll say, get up out of your seats, clap along, sing along. This is a concert, not a television show.
Right.
But there's a culture out there that they want to be able to enjoy the show from their seats, which is totally cool. That does not happen at the Calgary Stampede.
Right.
So, I don't even know if there's chairs. I don't know if there's chairs anywhere at the Calgary Stampede.
That might be a factor.
Nobody sits. Nobody's ever sat at the Calgary Stampede before.
No, this is true. So, it's just it's one of those things where it's like, I know when I go to play the casino in Halifax that people are going to want to sit. Some people are going to want to stand, but there will be a culture of like, we would just want to enjoy the show and take it in and do your thing, and we're paying attention, because they are paying attention, which for a guy that came up playing in bars where people absolutely were not paying attention is a wonderful thing. So that's like one example of like the differences in the culture between the Maritimes and say the Alberta audiences.
And it's interesting, and Bailey's probably thinking the exact same thing I am right now when you talk about sitting. The Big Valley Jamboree, which you have played at,
that's a great example. Yep.
But they sit there.
They do.
They've got the white chairs, the reserved chairs, and the audience started again. 25, 30 years ago, they started. A lot of them were 30, 40 years old. They're now 60, 70 years old. A lot of the people that have the white chairs, and they paid for those chairs, and they're going to sit in those chairs. And a lot of artists, I've seen it year after year after year, they come, and they're used to these events, whether it's Boots and Hearts or other events where they don't have the chairs, and they're like, why are these people sitting? Like, they don't like me? What's going on?
Yeah.
And sometimes they'd make reference to it, or they'd try, like you say, this isn't a television show, but these older people are like, I'm sitting down.
Yeah,
they're stubborn.
Now, okay, in my defense, I hadn't played the Big Valley Jamboree until last summer. I shouldn't say that. I was the surprise guest at the after party one year.
Okay.
Which is a different vibe altogether. That's the party crowd.
Nobody's sitting there.
No
if they're sitting, it's because they've had too many drinks and they're just sitting on the ground.
Totally. Totally. And the best part about that gig was, no one can know that you're there, so I have to, they kind of like hide you away. But my tour manager, who is a very funny guy, had our passes made, our all access passes, instead of our Tim Hicks passes, because that would give it away. He had passes made that said Vandalay Industries from Seinfeld.
Yeah.
So I have it somewhere. I kept it because I just thought that was just the most brilliant reference to Seinfeld ever in country music. So we had Vandelay Industries, and of course I was Art Vandelay that day.
Yes.
And we had ourselves a good time. And then we came back last summer and played it for the very first time on the main stage, and it was the hottest set I've ever played in my life. Like, I think part of me melted and is on that spot on the stage right now.
Yeah.
Because it was just, the sun was coming down, because we were, I want to say
5
direct
o'clock.
support. We might have been earlier.
7 o'clock.
Yeah. No, I think we were earlier on that. I think we were second to close. So the sun was just cooking.
Like you were on the surface of it.
Oh, and you're facing west.
Yes.
As it's coming in. And I remember my drummer, Rob, he has some eye trouble, which is a whole other podcast. And he
doesn't look too good.
Well, he couldn't open his eyes, he said. He had sunglasses on, and he was like, I played that whole set with my eyes closed. And I was like, that is unbelievable. Because it was just so hot and so bright and just shot. Like, he just was just like, oh God, like one of those, which is, we just, I'm going to
make it stop. Make it stop.
Yeah.
So many memories of Big Valley over the years, and it either like you say, surface of the sun or surface of Antarctica.
Yeah.
There's been the other years where Martina McBride and her crew had to go to the Walmart and get toques and gloves to play because you never know in Alberta.
Yeah.
You never know any month, and Big Valley, it would just seem to always kind of get us. I remember once when the late Toby Keith was playing, and Bailey's brother, my son, was young, like 3 years old, and we left the show after it was done, and he was on my shoulders, and he was crying, I was crying, we were so cold.
Nice.
But you have because of your occupation, you have worked in some challenging
conditions, working conditions.
Oh my God, I could tell you stories that would curl your toes. I mean, listen, part of my story, and that I'm very proud of, is that I was a working musician for almost 20 years before I ever had songs on the radio. So, if there was a gig to do, I was doing it. And, right from wrapping cables on crews to running spotlights and learning how to mix monitors and mix front of house and playing in bands. And I did, singles, duos, trios. I played on the cruise ships. I was in a Beatles tribute band. I did a lot of gigs, so you see a lot of really weird things. Probably the toughest gig I ever did, one of the toughest gigs I ever did, was my buddy hired me. He didn't really explain it. He goes, "Hey, you just I got this gig. It's kind of corporate-y. It's at this rich guy's house. You're gonna go and set up and like kind of like a wedding gig." I was like, "Great." Paid like $200 or something. So I went and set up. It was like a wedding tent. And I was playing, just doing my normal thing. And this party planner's like, "Okay, it's time to go. So just pack up your stuff and come on with us." And I was like, "Sorry, where are we going?" She goes, "Oh, well, Bob has everyone set up to go on a magical mystery tour. So now we're going to go to a secret location on, and she points over here, and there's 2 double-decker buses. So she explains to me that it's my job now to play on the top deck of the double-decker bus as they go on their magical mystery tour. Fine, right? Fine. You try playing guitar and singing in a moving double-decker bus facing backwards. I was sicker than a dog. Like, motion sick, and to boot, I'm playing in this thing, and I hear this. It was like a voice out of my nightmare. It was my basketball coach from high school.
No!
He goes, "Hicksy!" And I was like, "Oh my God. Coach?" And he's like, "Yeah, how's the music career going there, son?" like it was like, oh my God, I couldn't believe it. And I was sick to my stomach, and now I got this jackass over here chirping me, because I haven't made it yet. And eventually everyone was like, "It's okay. You can just sit down. It's okay." And I was so sick. I had to sit down. So then we get to this location after this magical mystery tour, and it's a winery, because we live in wine country around here in Niagara, and should have seen it coming. So the party planner comes and gets me, and I'm like throwing up behind the bus, and she's like, "Come on, you got to get set up. you're going to play with the other musician. And I'm like, I'm going to what? And she's like, yeah, you're going to go, and now you guys are going to play together. And I'm like, I haven't even met this guy. How am I going to, this is for $200. Like, what am I doing here? I've been here, it's like 6 hours, and I got to do 2 more hours of this stuff. And the best part about it was I go upstairs, and when I was a kid, I got hooked into the open mic scene in around Niagara. And there was a couple, an Irish couple, that ran a bar in downtown St. Catharines called The Club. And the idea was that it was owned and operated by musicians. What could go wrong, right? Well, eventually the club closed because it turns out musicians aren't good with money. And they moved to Ireland. So I walk up the stairs at gig number 3 that day. And isn't it my buddy Brian Daniels, who used to run the club? And it was like, it couldn't have been, it was almost like seeing Santa Claus. Like, it was like a long lost friend. And in that moment, it was like, oh my God, Brian. He goes, yeah, we just moved back. We're back. I said, I am so sick. He goes, oh yeah, that was a tough go on the bus. He said, just stand behind me. Just stand behind me. You'll be fine. You know, because he's like this little old man, like old Irish guy. Yeah. And we got through it together. But so that was the one saving grace of the weirdest gig I ever did.
That is so, I have a couple of things to say about your story. First of all, my wife and I, we went to Huatuco, Mexico this past winter.
Nice.
And we went on a double-decker bus tour with the outdoor bus, or the top being open. And literally, and I'm not joking, Tim, we were getting slapped in the face by like palm trees. We had to duck when we went through a traffic light because we were going to like get decapitated.
Yeah.
You know, there's not many rules in Mexico, but I can't even imagine performing
playing
during
music
that.
Oh my God.
backwards on it.
Yeah. And like, I wasn't well liked by this particular basketball coach, so it was like, oh God.
Oh, when he saw you throwing up, he said, "That's a double dribble."
Yeah, he's like, do it again. Oh my God, it was so funny.
But yet you had the height. You would have been a great basketball guy.
I wasn't. Yeah, I mean, listen, I loved playing. I was a mediocre basketball player at best, I think, but I had fun.
Yeah.
Same with football. I loved playing. I played football in high school. I loved it. I had a great time playing. But I was also, like, in those days, 100 pounds soaking wet. And the helmets were really heavy, and so I ran kind of like this, you know, because it was like I couldn't get my head up, you know. I was top heavy.
Like, you didn't have the neck strength?
No. If you saw my son, you'd understand, because he's a spitting image of what, you know, my build in grade 9, just like skinny and scrawny and no muscle yet, you know. And
a fairly large head. He looked kind of like a lollipop.
Yeah, well, just when you get that helmet on it, any head looks big, and that sucker weighs that. You know, that's some weight on there.
Tim Hicks is with us. He's going to be at the For the Love of 90s Country event for Alberta Dreams on April 17th at Cook County Saloon. It's going to be absolutely incredible. We're just going to keep going here, but in the meantime, we typically bring in a Good Scheetz, and the Good Scheetz we're going to let you do this week. Basically a positive going on in your life. It's proudly supported by Alt Tech. There's a difference between basic IT support and real solutions for businesses. Learn more at Baillie.
alt-tech.ca. That's alt-tech.ca. We don't let Dad. Yeah, we don't let Dad handle the URLs. It never goes well.
Good. Yeah. Smart business.
Thank you to Alt Tech. What is the Good Scheetz in your world?
Man, without it sounding a little too cliched, it hit me like a ton of bricks today. I'm so proud of my family these days. I've got 2 kids, a son and a daughter. They're both very similar in age. They're 16 months apart, and my wife too. So let me just give you the rundown. So
hang on, your wife's 16 months apart from them?
She's not. She's 16 months from me. No.
Oh, okay. Good.
Yeah, but so let's start with her. So she's currently doing her PhD in nursing, and so like, you know, it took a lot of courage. Like, she had a great job as a public health nurse here in Niagara, and it took a lot of courage to walk away from that and pursue this. And she's just like killing it. So there's that. And then my son just started high school, and he has picked up playing bass, and he's playing bass like a fiend. And he's made the robotics team, and they just won their first competition. So he's kind of like a music nerd kid that I'm very proud of. So, you know, playing bass, and And my daughter the same. Like she's just learned how to play Bohemian Rhapsody on the piano. So I'm very proud of my family. That's my positive for right now.
Wow, I'd love to know what it's like to be proud of your family. That's neat.
Nice.
When we think of a PhD in nursing like that, truly, when we think about a podcast, she's the one that's really going to change the world here. She's doing the important work. So that's incredible. Also with 2 teenagers on top of that. I can't imagine. I can't imagine the effort.
And we're in that stage, Chris, maybe you remember, where we're basically taxi drivers for our teenagers. So it's like, how are we going to get Anna to basketball, JJ to robotics, and then Anna from basketball to violin to home to do her homework, and then from robotics to, whatever it is he's got going. It's just like chaos trying to drive everybody around and get everybody where they got to go. And that's basically we spend most of our time just in the vehicles, taxiing people around.
Yeah, parent Ubers.
Parent Uber. Exactly.
I you know what? Again, same thing in our situation. 2 kids, and I marvel at anybody that has more than 2, because I can't. When we were in the middle of it, I remember Karen and I looking at each other and going, I don't know. You just make it work. Yeah. Obviously, we had a family that was the Bailey's played basketball with Bailey. But did they have 9 kids?
Oh my
Bailey?
God.
Yeah, I think 9, like adopted and like a blended family. So many,
incredible.
They adopted so many children. It was incredible. But they just had like a Sprinter van, where they would put them in. But it is just because like what do you do? And they all played sports and did activities too. So
you'd have to have like you'd have to have a color coded whiteboard for that.
I can't imagine.
Yeah,
they are the real heroes in the world, though. And every once in a while, we'd have to step up and help, pick their daughter up, because for obvious reasons.
Yeah,
they're busy with the other 8. Yeah, my buddy told me when we first got pregnant and we were gonna have JJ. My buddy told me he had kids. He's a little older, and he said, "Listen, if you're gonna have more than one, have 2 only." I said, "Why?" He goes, "Because you can hold on to 2." He goes, I've got 2. I got one like this and one like this, and one's still running around somewhere. You can't have that. It's not.
You're outnumbered.
You're outnumbered. He said, so just stop at 2. I'm like, oh, that's actually really good advice.
My line I've used on this podcast so many times, and don't get me wrong, I give, have all the kids you want, the more the merrier. But a couple of things. First of all, if you have 3 kids, one will be strange. And if you don't think that's true, you come from a family with 3 kids, you're probably the strange one.
Yeah.
And second of all, and we're living it now, Tim, is if you have 2 kids, 2 becomes 4.
Yeah.
And now in our situation becomes 6 because we've got 2 grandchildren. The point is, and you think, okay, well, I've got 2 kids, and hopefully they find somebody, fall in love, get married, or don't get married, whatever, just fall in love and they're together. But then those other ones also are your children, and everything in their world is your responsibility as well. So you just keep in mind, however many kids you have, double it, and then God willing, triple it, and maybe quadruple it at some point, and just understand what's coming at you.
Yeah, this is true. That's a good way to look at it.
Yeah, awesome. All right, well, we love your good sheets. Thank you to Alt-Tech for providing that. And typically we go the other way around, but I thought we would do it this way this week. We've got a Bull Scheetz brought to you by Cook County Saloon and Steakhouse. You've played at Cook County before. You're going to be playing there on April 17th.
Yes.
And you may not be aware of this, but they did this giant renovation, and they've made the club larger. It holds like 1,400 people.
What?
Yeah.
Wicked.
And they've got a steakhouse. Bailey, tell Tim about the steakhouse, because I have a feeling he might be enjoying a little bit of food from there.
I hope so, because the food is incredible, and they have this all new menu. The drinks are amazing. The food is amazing. The appetizers, fresh bread, it's the best. Yeah,
incredible.
We have yet to try dessert, because every time we go there we get too full. But maybe for the love of country we'll get dessert.
That will not be a problem for the Timmer.
No. Tim's going to find a way.
We're at the part in the podcast where I start referring to myself in strange third person
Okay. It's your Garth Brooks tendencies.
Yeah. No, that sounds amazing. And every time I'm in Alberta, I always make sure I get a steak for sure.
Yeah.
It's the best.
Yeah, mostly because my wife doesn't eat red meat, so we don't get it around here too often. So when I'm out, that's what I'm getting.
She doesn't eat red meat?
She does not.
Have you thought of a divorce?
It would be very expensive at this point.
And probably not worth the meat. Yeah, she's got a PhD in nursing and you're in music. You'd probably be one of the guys that would benefit from a divorce financially.
I mean, 10 years ago, yes. Yeah, for sure. She'd been paying spousal support this way. Yeah.
She kind of did in her own way, didn't she?
Well, she absolutely did. She actually, it's funny that you say that, because she paid for the first 3 demos for me to do that ended up getting me my record deal.
Wow.
Yeah. So
That's love. That's love.
That is love. Yeah. To take a chance on some goofy music nerd kid, Yeah. Very.
Yeah, couldn't hold his head up.
I couldn't hold my head up. No.
You didn't have enough tummy time.
I didn't. Yeah.
It's actually called Timmy time.
Timmy time.
Tummy time.
The masculine version is Timmer time. We didn't have any Timmer
time.
Timmer time.
It's always Timmer time. All right, what's your Bull Scheetz? What's making you
Gas
angry?
prices, for God's sakes. Oh my God. I was like, this one's easy. I drive a Silverado.
That was mine last week.
Yeah, I drive a...
That was mine last week. But you go, Tim. I like this. I like when an old man yells at cloud.
Oh my God. Yeah, I've become my father. I knew I was becoming my father when I started pointing out the prices, gas prices.
Yeah.
Like this started years ago, long before this baloney that we're in now. When it was like, oh, look, 118, pretty good. It's like, what is that? Why does that happen to us as adults? Why does it start? Why do we start like, yeah, oh, look at that, 116 over here. Good thing I didn't stop. 2 cents a liter. What am I doing here? But yeah, I mean,
what have I become?
Exactly. But now it's like, now I'm the angry old man shaking fist at the cloud. Jeez Louise, I saw like we were up to 178 around here not that long.
We are too.
It's gone down a little bit.
And
but...
Tim, you want to be frustrated. Like literally here at the home base studio, I'm stomping on the ground because right underneath me, that's where the stuff comes from. If I could dig a deep enough hole, I could just put it straight into my Londonderry Dodge Ram.
Let's go. Why is this happening?
I went to Costco. I've never done this before, but it's at a point now where I had over half a tank left, and we had to go to Costco to get something. And I said to Kara, I'm going to go fill up. I didn't even see what the price was at Costco, but typically it's 15 cents cheaper or whatever. And so I went, and it was still $1.54 at Costco.
Oh.
I had less than a half tank to fill up, and it was $108.
Oh my God. Unbelievable.
And the thing about the gas prices that really is frustrating, Tim, I know this was your bit, but you got me going. Like it takes, like somebody sneezes and the oil and the gas price goes up so quickly. It's like, it's going up. Like they probably have the guy, I haven't even noticed this, but in the old style ones, they still have they have to put the numbers up on the sign. They got somebody just standing there with a ladder doing it all day long now, because they just keep cranking it up.
Changing.
But then if something changes and they're supposed to go down, well, that'll take 2 weeks.
Totally.
Right?
Yeah. It only goes one way. It's like, yeah, it's just.
We might as well be at Tim Hortons right now with about 4 other guys around a table and just complaining.
Just complaining. I know. It's I don't know. Like I find it just so frustrating because it's so difficult as it is. And then when you see that happening, it's like, oh my God. Now I have to be strategic about where I'm going and what I'm doing and what, if I want to be fiscally responsible, which I was raised to be, so you want to do it.
And you've got these kids you're driving around the world
constantly. So it's like that's become the huge expense, Oh God, gas. Okay, here we go. Please give me some good news today. What's happening?
Because if you let your son walk to where he's got to go because his head leans, he'll just walk in a circle.
Exactly. He won't know where to go because he just can't. His field of vision is.
He's going like this.
Yeah.
He's not wearing a football helmet.
No, he's not. Thankfully, he doesn't play football. Thankfully.
No, he's too much of a nerdsicle.
Yeah, he's in base.
I love that. Robotics.
Yeah.
Robotics is how you get the good jobs in the future.
Well,
though. That's the way to
we're
go.
hoping for that he's going to pursue engineering, which would be great. But not trying to push. Just, whatever happens.
Just in the back of your mind.
Yeah. My mother wanted me to be a dentist.
Again, yeah,
my mother wanted me to be a dentist. So.
They say that. Maybe I shouldn't say it, but it's never stopped me before. But they say the dentists have a very high rate of suicide.
Yes.
Have you heard that?
Yes, because people don't want to come see them, and they're constantly inflicting pain. I understand. Yeah.
The only person people don't want to see that's constantly inflicting pain now is the guy that works at the gas station. Boom.
Yeah, exactly. I'm with you 100% on that.
We've got to support him mentally. We got to get him some support.
Yeah.
That's not ideal. It's not a good job.
Do not take it out on those people. Like, don't.
No.
I never have. It's like they probably get yelled at all day. Like they
people
made
working at gas stations.
I saw that happen in real time. Like, this old man was like freaking out at the poor kid. It's like, this kid's 18 years old. He's working at the Petrocan or whatever, and he's taking abuse from people.
Yeah.
It's not his fault.
No,
it's not his fault.
No, we know whose fault it is, but we won't get into that today.
Not today. It's a different podcast, which I would be happy to be a guest on. I got a few things I want to say about that. Yeah.
We are brothers from different mothers, my friend.
That.
I mean, the difference is I've got the big head, but I got the strong neck.
Good.
Like, that's the difference.
Well, hey, listen. To make a long story over, I can wear a helmet now, guys. Come on.
I honestly think you should just become like the next. We should have a third person on this podcast.
Sure.
It should be Tim Hicks, baby.
I love it. That's it's so funny because it's akin to, this is why you're so good at it. It's akin to talking on the radio, and my family's always like, for some reason my career's always over, and they're like, you should really consider talking on the radio, and I'm like, but I just had a top 10 song. They're like, yeah, but you're not getting any younger, and you're gonna have. I'm like, oh, come on. But yeah, no, I would like to do that. I think it's an easy transition.
The reason guys like me did and do what we do is because we couldn't have a top 10
No,
hit.
there we go.
Like, I can play country roads to beat the heck. I dreamt of being Tim Hicks on that stage.
I didn't know that.
Oh, sure. The only way I can beat Tim Hicks on that stage is if I get on that stage, like I will on April 17th for the Love of Country for Alberta Dreams, with a microphone in my hand and introduce Tim Hicks.
There you go. We'll bring your guitar. I'll teach you the chords.
Yeah.
You only need 4.
Yeah. Well, yeah, for Stronger Beer.
Well, yeah, 3 for Stronger Beer. That song's super dumb.
Is it in the key of G or C?
That one's in D, but I could capo you and you could play it in C if you wanted.
You've always tried to capo me, and I don't like it. Sounds painful.
Yeah, you wouldn't like it.
That was Bull Scheetz.
Yeah.
Oil and gas price
it's
related.
tough.
Brought to you 2 weeks in a row. Brought to you by Cook County Saloon and Steakhouse. Poor Bailey.
I have a feeling that's just gonna be. It's just gonna be Oil Scheetz coming up here because it's gonna be every week now.
With
I know
everybody.
it. I thought the only hope I thought we had was to have a guest so that he wouldn't bring up oil and gas prices, but no, here we are.
Yeah.
Oil Scheetz is when we talk about Diddy.
Whoa,
oh my gosh.
Way.
That's pretty good, though.
It is pretty good.
Yeah. Okay. Mother Doe Bread Co. We got to talk about them real quick, Tim. And I'm going to be feeding you. You want Alberta beef when you come to Edmonton on April 17th. Yeah. Mother Doe Bread Co. is an unbelievable sandwich company, and great bread makes a great sandwich. What is your favorite sandwich? What is your go-to?
Well, I have an answer for this that I don't even need to think about. I am if I'm going to order a sandwich out, or like from a sandwich place, it's going to be an Italian sandwich. I want as many different kinds of meat on there with some cheese and some lettuce, tomato, the oil and vinegar, all that stuff. That's my go-to.
Interesting. Yeah. Well, Bailey's married to an Italian, so she knows all about it.
Yeah, Mother Doe Bread Co. does a pretty good job of the Italian sandwich that they have. I'm just looking it up right now. So we can
Yeah.
give you a preview of what we can get you here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes it's best to break the news to people, live so they can't say no. 'Cause we're gonna have a fairly big day together because I've got an opportunity to get on the Global Morning Show at 8:40
Wicked.
the day of the
Okay.
event.
Are we taking a school
My
bus?
dream is to.
Didn't
It's so funny.
didn't
you
we
mentioned
do a school bus or
the
something
school
one
bus.
time?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
and it's back. It's
Are
back.
we really taking the school bus?
Bailey, don't, no spoiler
All right.
alerts here, but I drove the school bus today for the first time in a long,
my
long
God.
time. During COVID, like a lot of things, the bus just kind of went away. And I drove it today and I went around and if you remember, I have a picture of you and a signature from you and all the other people that were on that
Yep.
bus, including Luke Combs, who promised. He says, I didn't sing today, but I'll come back and sing. So I've got that on there. But I looked at you and I said, there he is. There he was. And I wonder if he's going to remember the school bus.
Just don't ask me to sing while we're moving.
Don't strap him to the roof of the school bus, ideally.
I mean, if you want to park someplace and I'll sing you a ditty, that's fine. But please don't make me face backwards.
I'm not picking you up with the school bus
All
that
right,
day.
okay.
I'm going to pick you up with the Londonderry Dodge. Can you tell they're also a sponsor of the
I
show?
love it.
Yeah. So anyway, so you're committed then to come with me. It won't even be that early. It's 8:40, which will be 10:40 your time.
I'll be up and ready to go for sure. For sure, I'm happy to do that.
There, see? That's
We
how you
can
do
greet-
it, Bailey.
Yeah, and
Okay,
we can greet you with an Italian Coca-Cola ham sandwich
maybe-
with Coca-Cola Italian ham. Oh wait, what were you gonna say?
Well, let's do that for lunch.
Okay, lunch. We'll do it for lunch. Capicola, Italian ham, sun-dried tomato pesto, parmesan, and arugula. It's delicious. It's the Italian
Yeah.
Coca-Cola ham from Mother Dough Bread Co.
Yes, that's what I'm talking about.
I didn't even know there was something like arugula until we started working with Mother
Yeah.
Dough, and I love my arugula now.
Oh, it's great. Yeah, you never had an arugula
Yeah.
salad?
No, he likes his
at you.
arugula paired with 6 different cured meats. He doesn't actually like arugula, I don't think.
Bread, Bailey. It's the bread. I'm healthy, okay?
I like it. I like a nice simple arugula salad. Some Parmesan petals in there, a little bit of oil and vinegar. Toss it up with your fingers.
It's good stuff.
If you're watching on YouTube, you just saw him do the Swedish Chef.
Yeah.
It was beautiful. I loved it.
Birchie,
All right,
birchie,
Mother
birchie.
Dough Bread Co. in Winterburn Point. Do yourself a favor. Great bread makes great sandwiches, and nobody makes it greater than them.
And they make it with love.
Community Sheets brought to you by Crystal Glass. Crystal Glass, they've been servicing drivers, homeowners, and businesses across Western Canada for over 70 years. This past week, and I think there's a few things we need to talk about here. This past week, I had the honor, and I truly mean honor, of hosting the CFL Coach of the Year
Wicked.
dinner, which was happening in Edmonton at the Westin Hotel. And my friend, Ken Franchuk from Crystal Glass, was there. So
Nice.
when I introduced myself at the beginning of the show, I said, my name is Chris Scheetz. I used to be in radio for 35 years. I hosted the football games for 17 years. Now I host a award-winning podcast with my daughter called Talking Sheets, brought to you by Crystal Glass. At Crystal Glass, they've been servicing drivers, homeowners, and businesses across Western Canada for over 70 years. And the crowd chuckled, and I said, Ken Franchuk is in the studio or in the audience, and every time we're in an audience together, I must mention him. It's a contract thing, and
You're contractually obligated to shout him out on the stage.
And his fist
Everybody
was in
laughed,
the air,
and then-
like, yeah.
oh, he was happy. And then at the end of the event, I said, if you liked what I did, my name is Chris Scheetz. I do Talking Sheets, brought to you by Crystal Glass, and just gave the line again.
Yeah.
Oh no, I said brought to you by, and then I pointed to the crowd, and everybody said Crystal Glass. That's how. it works.
You got the crowd involved.
Exactly.
You're doing
So
crowd
thank
work
you.
now.
You're welcome,
You're
Ken.
doing crowd work now with sponsors. That's amazing.
I am doing crowd work now, but CFL, your ties with your football team, the Hamilton
Yes.
Ticats. I will say that I was coming down from getting into my suit for this event at the Westin, and I get in the elevator, and I'm like, I recognize that guy, and then I see he's got a Ticats pin, and it's Orlando Steinhauer,
Nice.
the GM of the team, and my gosh, he couldn't have been a nicer
Oh,
guy.
good.
He was just, all I said was, hey, I'm going to be introducing you tonight. Is there anything that you want me to say about you? He said, just don't call me Orlando,
Nice.
because it's Orlando.
Yeah.
Orlando.
Orlando.
He says, I have got more trophies and more times introduced as Orlando than Orlando. He
Yeah, I
said,
bet.
but the nicest guy in the world. And then I asked him what an Oski Wee Wee was.
Yeah. Oski Wee Wee,
And
Oski
you know what an
Wawa.
Oski
Yeah.
Wee Wee
Oh,
is.
yeah.
Yeah. So Ticats was your team growing up?
It was. That's how you get stronger beers, because it's years of my dad and my grandfather on their soapboxes saying things like, CFL it's a tougher game than the NFL. It's one less down, and these are tougher players, and it's like we're very much in the steel belt here, blue collar, and everybody loves the Ticats. It's not like Rider Nation. Though it's not like that.
Well, there's nothing, and I can say this being from Edmonton, there is nothing like Rider Nation.
Like I remember doing a gig in Swift Current, and everybody was dressed in green, and I was like, "What is going on?" They're like, "Oh, the Riders play today." It's like, oh, that is an incredible fan base. And not taking anything away from any of the other CFL teams, but that is a phenomenon that worth studying, for sure. But we around here, we do take our Ticats games very seriously. And I'll never forget. So one of the first things I ever did as an artist when I got my record deal and things were starting to happen was I performed at the Argos game. And if you know anything about CFL, anybody that's watching or following along here, the Argos and the Ticats are huge rivals. Huge rivals. There's
like the Stamps and the Eskimos or Elks,
very much
right?
Very much like that. And my grandfather, he's still with us, by the way. He's 94, and
wow.
That's a whole other podcast about that guy. And he goes, hey, so you're gonna play the Argos game, huh? And I said, yeah. And he goes, your back's gonna burn, boy, because. Oh no, sorry, I messed it up. He goes, you gonna wear the jersey? I'm like, well, yeah, Grandpa. Like, when you go to these things, they kind of expect it, and you're a guest. And he's like, yeah, your back's gonna burn.
That's so funny because you wonder, right? Like Jerome McGinley, great hockey player, NHL Hall of Famer, grew up in St. Albert, and then he plays years for the Calgary Flames. Yep. And you just wonder about like some of his family members, and you hear about this all the time where, people from Edmonton or the, vice versa or whatever. And it's just like, oh man, I want my grandson to do well, but he plays for the team I hate.
Totally. Yeah. And I'm sure that caused him stress when he was trying to fall asleep at night.
Man, that's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's like, my grandson, gosh, why would he do that to me? But what are you going to do? And you did some really cool stuff. We were talking about the Blue Jays at the beginning of the show, but you've done some really cool stuff with the Blue Jays too, haven't you?
Yeah, I got to play Country Day a few years ago, and what I remember the most about it was that you play on this thing. It's called the flight deck. It was a little bit different than it is now because they did a reno, but we were playing Hell Raising Good Time, and I'm a performer, so I'm always looking for ways to kind of, I don't know, get people.
I remember
do you
this
remember
now.
I caused a big scene.
Did you? Yeah, you like kind of risked your life.
I jumped up on the ledge.
Yeah,
and through my in-ear monitors, I could hear 50,000 people go, "Oh!" And in that moment, I go, I think I've made a mistake up here, and and I'm doing my thing, and I'm trying not to let anyone know that I've made myself uncomfortable because I can tell everyone is uncomfortable. And so we jumped out, and I have like a handler for the day, like some poor 22-year-old kid that's like, you make sure that this guy is okay. Go, one of these things.
Whatever you do, don't let him on that rail.
He says to me, oh, Mr. Hicks, please don't jump up there again. Please don't do that. It's like, sorry, Billy. I was just doing my job. I thought that was my job. I was excited to be there. I grew up a Jays fan.
Yeah.
I'm playing the dome. I'm not playing the dome, but you're playing the dome. It's like a big moment. I'm like, I'm going to make the best of this. I'm going to make sure that I, leave a lasting impression. Oh, did I ever? They never asked me back.
You know what? You had to try to make it up to your grandpa, because I'm sure your grandpa is a Jays fan.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't follow it like we do, but yeah, for sure, just by default.
But it'd have been like, oh, that's better. He's on the he's on the ledge with the Jays jersey on. Maybe I'll put him back in the will.
I told him he should have got a job at DeFasco. Yeah.
But him and your basketball coach
Oh
both.
my God, that guy. Every now and again, I bump into a friend of mine that I played basketball with, and because they called me Hicksy, or he did. And man, oh man, like I have like nightmares about that, because I could hear his voice. He was like a drill, like the stereotype of a high school coach, like scary dude. And in front of the whole school, we were in a playoff game or whatever, and I wasn't having a great game as per usual. I was meant to sing in a band, but I did something, I forget, and he goes, "Hicksy!" And the whole school's there. "Hicksy, you stink, son. Give the ball to Mulligan." Because we had this kid on our team who was amazing. Like he was like one of these kids, like his eyes are closed and he's like swishing it from half.
Yeah, swish, swish, swish.
Yeah. So anyway, I'll every now and again I'll see someone from those, and they always say, like, they'll be behind me at an event or whatever, and I'll hear someone go, "Hicksy," like one of those, like, "Oh no, coach, no." Yeah.
I'm sorry. I don't mean to be that guy because this isn't a one-up story, but this is another example of your teachers. And I've told this. I won't name the teacher. She's passed away, but her and I really had an interesting relationship when I was in school. We'll just leave it at that.
Fair enough.
And then a few years after I graduated, we ended up living next door to a teacher who taught at our same school. He didn't teach me, but he taught at our school, and we were just wonderful neighbors. And so they invited us over once because they had a whole group of the teachers that I were my teachers at a fire at their backyard in their acreage. And this teacher was there that we really butted heads, like really butted heads. And she said to me, she says, "Oh my gosh." And I had just started on the radio. She says, "So you're on the radio now?"
Yeah.
And I said, "Yeah." "Oh yeah, I know." I said, "Oh, you do?" Like, kind of like leaning in, kind of excited. She says, "Yes, my vehicle broke down the other day. And so it had to get picked up. And so I was riding inside the tow truck, and they had the radio station in the tow truck."
Yeah.
Like it was like so demeaning, like, "Oh my gosh, they play you, like I heard your voice in the tow truck."
Yeah. Like that's where you're entertaining the tow truck drivers now.
And I'm like, "Yeah, that's pretty cool." And she said, "Oh yes, it was."
Yeah.
But anyway.
Oh my Lord. It takes all kinds.
But I had so many other great teachers, and she was fine in her own way. But it's just so funny how they leave this little bit of a legacy with you, don't they?
Oh my God. Absolutely. Yeah.
They really do.
I'm actually
a great teacher.
I'm actually going back into my high school in April to do a songwriting workshop with the vocal music class. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. The teacher there is not the same teacher that was there when I was there, but reached out to our team, and we've set up some time to go in there and do that. So that's kind of going to be fun.
I hope they invite your basketball coach just so he knows that you've made it.
Yeah, I'm sure that guy has passed on by now. Yeah, he was old then.
Yeah, because you killed him.
He actually had to stop being our coach midway through the season because we literally gave him a heart attack.
Oh.
Yeah. So, yeah. Just saying.
Yeah,
I think that he cared. Maybe he cared a bit too much.
I think he was a little too invested in the grade 10 basketball team at A.N. Meyer Secondary School. Yeah. Yes.
Tell me when you go back to the school that you find that old helmet.
I don't even know where I'm sure they have different helmets by now, but yeah.
They have to be lighter at this point. There's no way the Ticats are wearing that heavy of helmets.
I mean, those guys got big neck muscles. Just saying. I don't know.
Have you seen some of the concussion helmets? They're like they got like a pillow on.
Yeah, they're big.
The bubbles?
They look like extra big. I think I get it.
Yeah.
Like I'm all for safety. I love the fact that bull riders now wear helmets and things like that. But I think if I had to wear that giant helmet with a pillow around it, I think I'd retire and honestly find another job.
Yeah,
but that's just me.
I mean, it's not fashionable. That's for sure. That's all function.
Well, and also if your brain is that tender,
fragile at that point,
maybe it's time to move on.
Time to move on.
Yeah, because I'm like one concussion away from becoming a country singer. It could be dangerous.
Well, if I got a song for you.
Let's talk about it. Finally, country music again is fantastic, and it's just a great way to give back. And we're
Yeah.
going to be doing that with the charity I work for, Alberta
Yep.
Dreams, which we deliver dreams to seriously and chronically ill
Love it.
children across the province of Alberta. You know, your children were healthy. Tim, you know that you talk about how busy they can make you, and how how challenging life can be raising these kids, but add complications to your children's
Okay, I can't
lives,
imagine.
and just you can't even
No,
imagine, can
Don't-
you?
And yeah, it's just yes. Yep.
Short answer,
Yeah, I
yes.
can't even imagine.
So we're going to be raising money. It's the 40th anniversary of the organization. We're trying to do 40 Dreams this year in our 40th year. And one way we're going to do that is with, again, For the Love of 90s Country. We did this event last year for the love of country, but this year we're going to put the 90s twist to it. And I know Bailey is pumped because she is trying to find the best 90s wardrobe she possibly
I love
can.
it.
And the
I think
fun
it's
thing
important.
is, you were like the first one in on this, Tim. Thanks to Ron Kitchener, who's
Yeah.
a dear friend of mine. I bet he wishes I wasn't on his. I didn't have his contact number, but anyway. But when I phoned him and I said, "Hey, do you think Tim could be part of this?" He says, "You know what? Tim is traveling everywhere but Edmonton. This just might work."
Absolutely. Yeah. So I'm really looking forward to it. And I love these moments where you sort of get to play with a house band and like no rehearsal. I love those like squeeze your cheeks together and go moments. So I'm really looking forward to it.
And it won't be on a bus.
Thankfully,
As far as
we'll
we
be
know.
stationary. Yeah, so that's gonna be great.
Yeah.
And it's been a minute since I've been in at Cook County, so that's gonna be a lot of fun. I think last time I was there was CCMA. It must have been.
The house band, it's the same guys that played last year for this
Yeah.
event, and Brad Mates from Emerson Drive. It was the first time Brad had played without his band in 27 years. He got on that stage and you would have never known
Yeah.
it. Like I'm like, how is this happening? How is this sounding like it's coming
They were
off of the
amazing.
TV?
Yeah, well,
Unbelievable.
if you speak the language of music, it's easy, And these guys are all heavy duty guys. I saw the list of guys. These are all heavy duty players. So it's like you're in good hands, So I'd say like I love that. Yeah, well,
And you and your buddy Clayton
Yeah.
Bellamy, and we've got Aaron
Oh,
Burchett,
God.
and we've got Julia Voss, and it's the Johnner Brothers. Oh my gosh! Again, I saw the Johnner Brothers at Cook County Saloon when they reopened
Nice.
after their renovation, and those guys.
Technically, we opened for them.
oh,
We did open for them.
Yeah, technically.
Yeah, you're right. Thank you. Good catch, Bailey. But everybody's going to sing their favorite 90s song. Spoiler alert, but you have to sing Stronger Beer. But how do you possibly choose your favorite 90s country songs?
yeah. I
Tim?
mean, there
Like,
was some
man.
there.
Without, don't give them away. Don't
Okay.
give them away.
Well, there was at least one.
Maybe give us one.
Okay, well,
Give
the
us
one,
one.
the one that was a no-brainer for me was Dust on the Bottle, and the reason is, well, there were two reasons. Number one, when I was part of my story, when I was playing full time, was we had a country band that we played in, and that was one of my favorite songs to play, and we played it every night. So that was like, A, I don't have to learn it. B, it's a great song, and C, it's right down the pipe of 90s country. So it makes a whole lot of sense. Now, my current, what we call gap single, so like the song that we put out for our fans, that's just on streaming that we don't like push to radio, is a David Lee Murphy song that I covered called I Won't Be Sorry. That was on his No Zip Code record in 2018. And Derek Rattan, who produced it, he played it for me in his truck. And he's like, we need something like this. I'm like, could we cut this? He's like, we should totally cut this. So we just, he went from playing me an example of a song to, okay, how do we cut let's just cut this then. If this is what we need, like I said, I love what this says, so instead of trying to rip it off, let's just cut it. So it made sense to do a David Lee Murphy. Now the other two songs, in addition to Stronger Beer, were a little bit more difficult. So I had dreams of like, I'll just tell you because we can't do it, but like I was like, maybe I should do like Man, I Feel Like a Woman, and I sat down to learn it, and I couldn't. Once I dug into the song, I was like, it's just not. I'm just not going to be comfortable. It just won't be comfortable enough to do a Shania Twain song. Right. I don't have the midriff. I don't have the wardrobe. So.
But will you have the David Lee Murphy mullet? Because that's the other thing.
No, I won't. There's a reason I wear this ball cap everywhere I go. Yeah, I wish. But the other ones, it was a little bit more. But there is a twist on one of them, so that's all I'm gonna say.
See, and I'm glad you're explaining this so people can wrap their heads around it, because it's going to be surprise after surprise, because you just don't know where these artists are going to be going with these songs. You're going to be very familiar with them all. And it's just going to be like just kind of a walk back in 90s country. The kids love it. Tickets are selling really well for this event. No surprise. You can get them at cookcountysaloon.com. $25. They're really reasonable, and 100% of the money is going to Alberta Dreams. So it's just going to be such a great event. Bailey, talk about your wardrobe challenges.
No, I love a theme, and so when I hear 90s, I'm thinking like I have to dress like the 90s. Like you talked about the mullets or Shania's Man, I Feel Like a Woman. I think that people need to get behind a themed outfit. I think a Canadian tuxedo would be a great choice. I've been working on sourcing some 90s country band t-shirts from eBay, but I'm a little worried that they're not going to come in time because they're shipping from all over the world. It's vintage t-shirts. They're not as cheap as they used to be, and they're hard to track down because all the kids love
Preaching to the choir here.
Yeah, exactly.
I got a whole wardrobe full of vintage
that.
band tees. I just love them. That's my whole deal. So I get it. Yeah, and
where do you get them from?
I'll tell you when we're done recording.
Okay.
There's a few. Like, listen, I picked them up in my travels.
What, are they from the Mexican cartel? What's the deal?
Maybe.
I'm so confused.
No, I can give you. There's a couple of good websites that.
Okay, it's a secret. He's gatekeeping. We talked about gatekeeping on a couple episodes ago, and I was explaining the concept of gatekeeping to Dad.
Listen,
so now we're experiencing it in real time.
I don't need an army of Tim Hicks fans walking around with vintage Wings t-shirts. Okay. There needs to be a little mystique.
Yeah, and he's trying to sell his own merch here.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They're not Tim Hicks fans. They're called Timmies.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Oh God.
You know what? This could go forever, but we got a baseball game to watch, and I can't believe just how comfortable this has been. We have done a lot of these. This is our 64th episode, and not all of them have had guests, but we've had some great guests, and I'm not. It's like your kids. You can't pick a favorite. But I don't think that I don't think that there's been a more comfortable conversation than this.
Well, let's do it again.
And we didn't address any questions that we actually prepared. So that's how you know it's in flow state.
I love that. What was your top question? What was your
I wanted to know how you got into music, and we never even talked about it.
It's great. So I was just talking about this today. So my great grandmother had a very old house, and it's so funny that you asked me this because I just went and saw my grandparents, who I was saying are still with us, in Niagara Falls the other day, and I try and go down once a week and spend some time with them. And I drove down the street where my great grandmother's house was and is. It's still there, and she had like a farmhouse in the middle of Niagara Falls. They built a subdivision around it, but when I was growing up, she literally had a cornfield in her yard. And that's actually, in that cornfield was where I met my wife for the very first time when we were 6. So, which is another story that we can get into or not. But anyway, in this old farmhouse, it was so old it had a parlor, and she had an organ in the parlor that she played. And I used to sit on her knee and noodle on the organ. And she had these books. I've never seen them since. But they were books of church hymns that instead of having notes, they had numbers. And the keys were numbered. I said that because there's a keyboard in front of you that you can't see. But instead of, because I had no concept of like, this is C and this is D. No, they were just numbered. So I could kind of like read the numbers and correspond my fingers on the organ. And so, it turns out I had a natural ability to play music by ear, so my parents asked me, would you like to take lessons? I was 6 at this time. I said, yeah, of course, I'd love to take lessons. And a man came from the conservatory, and we sat at the table, and he said, you have to choose. Do you want to take piano lessons or organ lessons? And I didn't know anything about piano. So I said organ, just because it was the only thing I knew. So they they enrolled me in organ lessons at the Ontario Conservatory of Music in Niagara Falls. And one of the cool things about that conservatory was that at the same time that you had your lesson, they put you in a little band. So you'd have like your half-hour lesson on Saturday morning, say, but for me, it was like Saturday mornings I had my lesson, but Wednesday from 7 to 8 p.m. was band practice. And it was the coolest thing to me. You know, they had this big poster of the Beatles, and the very first time you're in a room with 4 other kids and you all hit the same note at the same time, the power that I felt in that moment changed me forever. And from that minute, I was always in a band from the time I was 7. So 40 years later, here we are. Yeah, and so
that's really amazing.
And so like I started playing, like I was, you know, and I had the bug early, and we performed in public. We used to play at these little Kiwanis festivals, and the guys that ran it, I still keep in touch with them. They're still around, and they would set up little performances. We did some traveling. We traveled down to Michigan and played down there in a competition, and it was almost always competitive. But that's how I learned to play in bands. And so, you know, I started playing for money. If, like, all of a sudden someone's like, we'll pay you $80 to come and sing for half an hour. I was like, are you kidding me? That's a lot of slices of pizza. You know, so I started playing like professionally, I guess, however you want to say, when I was about 14, 15 years old. And so I never stopped.
$80 you said. Yeah, $80 you said. Someday I'll get paid $200 and I'll get to throw up.
Exactly.
Exactly. That's like 1/10 the tank of gas right now.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah,
Don't get us started.
My God, yeah.
Okay, now you have to do it because everybody's going to be like, you met your wife at 6 years old in a cornfield.
Yeah. Unfortunately, you're stuck for one more question because that's amazing.
I love it. So now this year will be our 17th wedding anniversary, which in the music business is like 100 years. So,
can I give you my joke? You've been married 17 years, 21 with the wind chill.
Yeah, totally.
There you go.
I like it.
Yes, but anyway.
So my wife was back up here. So great-grandma's house, okay? So now where great-grandma's cornfield was, there are 2 houses with yards. So you can imagine it's a big property. Next to those 2 houses that now exist was what we called my Uncle Johnny's house. So Uncle Johnny was my mother's uncle, so my grandmother's brother. Follow me here. I'll make a diagram if you want. So,
we'll get some graphics going.
So Uncle Johnny, Uncle Johnny has kids, my mother's cousins, and in the summertime,
tell me one of them isn't your wife.
No. Follow me here. That'd be amazing.
When you say you met your wife in a cornfield,
I'm a country singer.
Did you?
No, so my mother's cousins lived in St. Catharines, and next door to them were my cousin's best friend was my wife Amanda, and
thankfully, so this is okay. Good, we've got a DNA separation.
Exactly. So in the summertime, my mother would drop me and my brother off at my great grandmother's house, and she would go to work, and my mother's cousins would drop my cousin and her best friend, because they were inseparable, like all the way through to the time they were 25. Like they were always together all the time. And so, you know, I met her when we were 6. We used to play in the cornfield and whatever, and then we just kept meeting each other over and over again. Like, you know, she'd come because I was always playing in a band, so my cousins would come and see me play. Because she was always with my cousin, she would come to see me play. And so we met again at 15. We met again at 17. We met again at 19. She always had a boyfriend all the time. And I used to...
With a strong neck.
With a strong neck. He was they were always athletic. And I used to tease my cousin constantly. Like, where did you bring my wife? Like, she would literally come to our family reunions. Because they were so close friends that she just came to everything. Like... And I used to tease my cousin. It would drive her crazy. She hated it. I would be like, "Did you bring my wife?" And she'd be like, "No, she's with her boyfriend Corey." You know, he was always named Corey for some reason. And so I was like, "Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. And in our 20s, like, again, it was like just one of these things. Like, why do we keep bumping into it? We just keep, and there was always chemistry, like from the time we were teenagers, you know. And so eventually started dating, and now here we are, 2 kids and a mortgage later.
Well, yeah,
in a record deal.
Why?
So.
Why stop this anymore? And besides, you need to fund my first 3 records.
That's what I was going to say. At 6 years old, she saw you in the cornfield. She said, one day I'm going to pay for that man's demos.
My God, she, you know, and it's, speaking her praises, she bought me, so my band broke up, and I was so depressed, and I had all these gigs booked, but the other guys in the band owned the PA system. And she freaking took me to the music store and bought me a PA, because she was a nurse, so she had money, and I had nothing. You know, she was like one of the first people to encourage me to do this whole thing. So I owe a lot to her.
And let me guess, she's also beautiful.
Super beautiful. Oh my God. Yeah. Thank God my kids look like her, not me. It's great.
We all pray for that, but I think my daughter's got a bit of a resemblance to her dad. Just the cheek.
I don't see it.
Depends on the day.
There you go. Yeah.
The cousin to best friend pipeline is in our family too. My one of my closest best friends married my cousin.
There you go.
Yeah.
And now they have a kid. It's an uncommon, but
it does happen. Yeah, you know, it's kind of fun. Like, I just, you know, the whole thing. My Aunt Betty, apparently, on like one of her dying wishes was, you know, that Amanda and I should be together. Like, you know, it was like one of those things.
Nice.
Yeah. So.
You told Aunt Betty. You said, Aunt Betty, you need to let her know.
Said to tell Corey to hit the books.
And to transfer the money to my bank account.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Too funny. Yeah. Just so weird. So weird.
Oh, that's great. Well, you know what? I feel like we will do this.
Yeah, let's do it. I got lots of stories to tell you.
We literally, how many podcasts? We could just do the one about grandpas. You know, that's not a bad, an offshoot of this one. Tell us about your grandpa. God. Like, I could literally talk for 10 hours about my grandpa
George. I had 4 of them, and because my parents are divorced, and so, but my
2 Christmas.
Well, I, 2 of everything, Christmas. But every single one of them were characters in a different way. You know, just like
Grandpas
my God! Like, one of them was a Korean War vet. One of them, you know, is still with us. Wow. He's like a super blue collar factory worker guy. You know, one was a United Church minister, and one loved to drink. Just loved it. Just loved it. Yeah.
Yeah. It's been known to happen. It's been known to
grandpa
happen.
Or two.
Too much.
Tim, thank you so much for the Love of 90s Country. Again, April 17th. Get your tickets now at cookcountysaloon.com. Tim is going to be one of the artists performing, and he's not doing Man, I Feel Like a Woman, but you know what? He might do Any Man of Mine. Who knows? You know?
What? One more?
We'll see.
One more little Easter egg. One of them for sure is a song sung by a woman. So there you go.
Okay.
The women of 90s country. The women of 90s country really killed it. So there's no misses.
And that hasn't stopped, by the way. For sure.
Okay.
Awesome.
All right, you're the best.
Thanks, guys.
Friend. I'll be picking you up at the hotel bright and early on Friday morning to go see the Global Crew at 8.
All right, I'll see you on the bus.
Okay? All right. Thank you all. Crystal Glass, Londonderry Dodge, Cook County Saloon and Steakhouse, and Mother Dough Bread Co. And thanks to Tim Hicks.
Even when we got nothing to talk about, there's nowhere I'd rather be. 'Cause there's something about you and me, just sitting around talking sheets.